Shalom and welcome to 10 Minutes of Torah. Approximately 10 minutes of Torah. It's going to be my opportunity, my pleasure really, to share with you just a few Torah thoughts every week. And I hope that you'll take time. I know that you're busy, and that's why I said 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes, I'll give you some Torah. I'll give you the best Torah I can think of to give you. And I'm hoping that it will, first of all, enlighten you a little bit more about Torah. It will make you understand why the Torah is our sacred treasure and why we spend so much time studying and learning from it every day of our lives. So last Shabbat, we began reading Bereshith, the first portion of the Torah, Bereshith, in Genesis. Now, I want you to understand how I look at Bereshith. Bereshith, of course, talks about the creation of the world, Adam and Eve. And I know some people say, well, that's just got to be a bunch of bubble mices. Right? The world is really not 5,773 years old. It's billions of years old. Okay, fine, you're right. And there are a multitude of other questions. But what I want you to appreciate is this, that the Bible was never thought to be a science textbook. It wasn't intended to teach about astronomy, geology, biology. It was there. It was written. It was given to teach us some of the most important basic truths. So that even if you may doubt the stories, the truths that the stories teach are true. And they've always been true. So, for instance, what do we learn? What are some of the great truths of Bereshith, of the beginning portion of the Torah? Well, one thought we learn, which is maybe the most important thought of all the Torah, is that, as it says there, humanity, man and woman, were created b'tselem Elokim, in God's image. In God's image. Not just some people, all people were created b'tselem Elokim, in God's image. And so what that means is that there is a sanctity, a holiness about life. You see, before that teaching, no one really thought that all life was holy. There was some life that was considered to be more valuable than other lives because people had maybe more money or more land than other people. But never was it ever thought, before the Torah came onto the stage of human history, that every life is, was, forever will be equally holy. And because every life is holy, it means that there must be a way, a proper way, a righteous way, a just way, a fair way, an equitable way, a compassionate way to treat all people. So much of what the Torah is all about, and all of Jewish literature thereafter, is about how do we create a society in which we treat everyone else as though we understand that they too are created b'tselem Elokim, in the image of God, and therefore we have to do as right to them and by them as we would want to have done for ourselves. And so Jewish law says it's wrong to humiliate and embarrass someone because that person is holy. It's wrong to hurt someone in any way because a person is holy. This aspect of being created in God's image is the foundational precept of civilization. Now, not everyone buys into it. That's for certain. But it is the great truth taught by our Torah in the book of Genesis. There's a wonderful, wonderful teaching, of course, that, Adam was created alone as an individual. Of course, Eve comes along, as we know. But one thing our rabbis taught us is that mankind, humanity, was created through Adam alone to teach us a few important other truths. Number one, so no one can say my ancestor was better than yours, greater than yours, because we all go back to the same ancestor. There is this democracy of all humanity that the Torah teaches. And since Adam was created alone, we also learn that very important truth, that anyone who destroys a single human life is regarded as though they had destroyed the whole world. Adam as one was the whole world. Everyone, every single one is a world. That concept has allowed us to understand how very precious human life truly is. And it has made us very concerned, very vigilant about rallying to the side of those whose lives are in danger. The Jewish people, when it came to Darfur, we were the most outspoken proponents of doing something to save the people of Darfur, because each one of them was a world, just like each one of the 6 million was a world. So we learn that truth as well. We also learn, because Genesis tells us, that we were put on earth, to quote Genesis, we were put on earth to guard the world. To guard the world. Meaning that we have a responsibility to this world. God gave us this world to live in, and we're never, ever supposed to be cavalier about our treatment of the environment. We were placed here to watch over the creation that was given to us as our habitat. And so Judaism, before any other faith ever thought of it, stepped forward with concerns about environmentalism. So much of our Torah and Talmud and our codes of law teach us about our responsibility to the environment. Yes, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. Why? Because it says in Genesis that we were given dominion over the earth, not to destroy it, but to be responsible to conserve it and take care of it. That's a truth. It's a powerful truth, and it still is important today, maybe more so than it was when it was taught in Genesis over 3,000 years ago. So my friends, there are different ways in which we look at the Torah. Some look at the beginning of the book of Genesis and say, Adam and Eve, well, it could never have happened that way. The world created in 6 days could never have happened in that way. Judaism is, by the way, not opposed to the idea of evolution. We just think of it in a different way, which I'll get back to in another class. But beyond those issues is an entire Torah portion that teaches us the truths, that give us a way in which we see our role in this world and understand our responsibility to the world and to our fellow human beings. And so I am always thankful every time I open Bereshith to be reminded of God's sense that he could trust us to treat people with care, justice, and compassion, and to treat his world with respect and concern, and that would mark our destiny as human beings. Shalom.